Chapter 2. I waited, muscles tense, breathing shallow. The shed stood silent now, as if whoever lurked inside had stilled completely. Perhaps they'd heard me too. Time passed. I don't know how much time. It could have been hours or seconds. The night air pressed against my skin, cool and damp. Not a cricket chirped, not a leaf rustled. Finally, I realized I had to do something. I backed away from the raspberry canes, slow and deliberate. I tested each step before committing my weight. The old saying about discretion being the better part of valor rang through my head. Once I reached the patio, I moved faster across the flagstones, keeping low. At the back door, I slipped inside, easing it closed with bated breath. The kitchen was dark and still. I crossed to the drawer where I kept a heavy torch, useful both for illumination and as a potential weapon. Gripping it tight, I moved through the house and upstairs to Noah's room. I knocked once, softly, then opened his door. "Noah," I whispered. "Wake up. Someone's in the shed." His silhouette sat up immediately. No groggy complaints, no questions. Living on the streets teaches you to wake fully alert. "Claude," he murmured, touching the lump in bed next to him. Claude was easy to wake too. One touch on his shoulder and his eyes snapped open. "Get dressed, mate." I left them to it, and we assembled in the kitchen less than 2 minutes later. Noah had brought the cricket bat he kept under his bed. Claude had selected a heavy iron poker from the fireplace set. I still clutched my torch, and now added a pair of kitchen scissors to my arsenal. "Someone's in the shed," I explained, keeping my voice low. I heard them while I was at the bottom of the garden, the doors still locked and wedged, so they didn't come in that way. "The tunnel," Noah looked aghast. "If our tunnel had been discovered, it would be immediately void, and we'd have no safe way to get Eden here." "That's what I'm thinking. But who would know about it?" Claude asked, raising the poker. I shook my head. "That's what we need to find out." We slipped out the back door in single file. Noah led, cricket bat held aloft. I followed with my torch switched off, no sense advertising our approach. Claude brought up the rear, constantly checking behind us. The shed loomed ahead, a darker patch against the night sky. We stopped several paces away, listening. Nothing. Noah gestured toward the door. The padlock was still in place, the wooden wedge firmly jammed beneath. We would need to remove both to get in. Claude positioned himself to one side, poker raised. Noah shifted the bat to one hand and reached for the wedge, his movements painfully slow as he wiggled it free. Each subtle shift of the wood seemed to produce a groan that must have been audible streets away. My nerves quivered like overstretched rubber bands. The wedge moved another fraction. Another. Then suddenly, it came free. We froze, waiting. Nothing stirred inside the shed. Noah worked at the padlock next. The key slid in, turned. The mechanism released with a click that sounded like a gunshot in the night. There was an explosion of sound from within. Noah snatched up his cricket bat and charged in. Eagerly, we stumbled in behind him. I flicked on the torch, directing its beam into the shed. Empty. Not just empty, abandoned. The spade Noah had been using lay on its side. The wooden crate he sat on during breaks was overturned, but there was no intruder to be seen. "The tunnel," Claude whispered, stating the obvious. He and Noah approached the cut floorboards that usually covered the tunnel opening. The carpet remnant had slid aside, and the boards were no longer seated, leaving a raw black gap in the ground. But I had finally drawn in a deep breath after holding it for so long. Fox. I knew the smell at once, acrid, territorial, impossible to mistake. I grabbed Noah's wooden sit crate and plonked myself on it. The relief that it wasn't a human intruder was immense. The men had disappeared down the tunnel. They'd find out soon enough. I wasn't about to hurl myself after them. I didn't like the tunnel at the best of times. Too claustrophobic. But now I knew we were still safe. I was happy to let them find out for themselves. It was Claude who came back to give me the news. "Noah's still there, finishing off what we think a fox started." He hadn't realized he was so close to breaking through to fresh air when he was digging earlier. So he's very excited, but also berating himself for nearly giving our tunnel away. I'm going to go back and help him disguise that end of it. It's come out into a big patch of brambles in that patch of green the other side of the road behind us. I nodded. That was where we'd planned it to come out. At least that had worked. "Tell him to stop beating himself up immediately. Waste of energy. Claude flashed me a grin and disappeared into the earth again. I sat there a while to recover from my panic. Then I left a note on the crate, pinned with a terracotta pot. Gone to bed. And I went indoors and left them to it. I knew what would be coming my way in the morning, and I would need a good night's sleep to cope with it. The kitchen was filled with grey light filtering through the blinds when I came downstairs. It was too early for the sun to have shown itself, and yet Noah was already there, his bag packed and waiting by the door. Claude sat at the table, his face looking as if carved from stone. "I'll leave within the hour," Noah said, not looking at me as he filled a water bottle from our filtered supply. "I know all Eden's spots, the abandoned arcade, the old library basement. He won't be hard to find." I dumped my own bag on the counter. "No," Noah turned, frowning. "What do you mean, no? I can't have you looking for Eden. It has to be me." His laugh was sharp, disbelieving. "You? Beryl? He's my sibling. He'll only trust me." I took down the old tea tin from the top shelf, the one where I kept emergency supplies. The streets are much safer for old, white-haired women than for young men. Those uniformed patrols barely glance at elderly women. We're invisible. You'd be detained, questioned, or conscripted before you made it 3 streets over. And Eden has known me his whole life. That's ridiculous. I know how to move without being seen. I looked at Claude, who stared meaningfully back at me. I pulled out a respirator mask and packed it carefully, along with a nasal spray. "Remember what happened to Marcus from number 42? 23 years old, just going to check on his grandmother. They caught him in the street, said he was obviously up to no good if he wasn't at a job at that time of day, and hauled him off for labor detail. His family hasn't seen him in 8 months. Noah slammed his palm against the counter. I didn't flinch. I did snap. "Do I have to remind you that I don't like raised voices or anything even remotely reminiscent of violent behavior? Seriously?" He looked shamefaced and my heart bled for him. But I knew I mustn't let it show. "Eden won't come with you," he said, his voice barely above a whisper now. "He doesn't know you like I do." I added protein bars and a small bottle of hand gel to my pack. "He knows me well enough, and he knows that if I'm there instead of you, there's a damn good reason." Claude appeared at Noah's shoulder, silent as always. He looked between us, then moved to the kettle. "She's right," he said, filling it with water. "They never see the old ones coming." He flicked me an apologetic look. He knew I didn't think of myself as old. Noah's shoulders slumped. "You can't just—" "I can, and I will." I zipped my bag closed. "You think I haven't been watching what's happening? The patrols are tripling their quotas this month. Every able-bodied person between 18 and 40 is a target. I won't risk losing you both." I didn't add the rest, that the thought of him being taken made my stomach twist with a terror I hadn't felt since my husband died. That I couldn't bear the thought of both of them out there, vulnerable, while I sat safe behind these walls. Claude lined up 3 mugs on the counter. "Young men draw attention. White-haired ladies delivering baked goods to fictional grandchildren don't." He glanced at me. "You taking the east route?" I nodded. "Through the market first. More cover." Noah looked between us, defeated. "You've already planned this. Since the moment we talked of finding Eden." I checked my watch. "The morning Yob patrol passes in about 20 minutes. I'll leave after they're gone. I should be the one." "No, you shouldn't." I pulled my hair back, securing it with a clip. "Eden needs you here, safe, making his room ready." Claude handed Noah a mug of tea. "She'll find him. Old doesn't mean useless, it means invisible." I bit my tongue. I still couldn't think of myself as old, even with the white hair and the occasional creak in my joints. Old was my mother, my grandmother. Not me. Never me. "I'm not saying you're—" Noah started. "I know what you're saying, but this isn't about capability. Claude's right. It's about invisibility. And right now, me being overlooked is our greatest advantage." Noah's eyes were too shiny when he finally nodded. "You'll be careful, please? I can't lose you too." That almost broke me. I patted his arm and threw on my jacket of many pockets. "I'll bring Eden back." Claude handed me my mug, and I drank the tea quickly. No time to savor it. "I know the best routes," I said. "I know this area. I know where to hide if I need to. I will find him." I kept my head down. It was time to go. "Stay safe, the pair of you," I said. "I'll be back when I'm back." Get the tunnel finished in case I need to use it. Make sure it's safe. Keep the runner beans watered. They're drinking a lot just now. Picking up my bag, I headed for the front door, remembering in time to stop striding and start shuffling. Outside, the world looked almost normal. Gardens still growing, houses still standing. But the cracks showed if you knew where to look. The silent windows, the empty streets, the occasional wall marked with symbols that told stories to those who could read them. I shuffled along the pavement, deliberately slowing my natural pace. I tried to keep track of everything while appearing to notice nothing. Shop fronts were heavily barred these days. Any spare patch of wall had the lying, "We're all in this together," government posters glued to them. Everywhere was filthy. The cleaning of public spaces had long since been declared a waste of taxpayers' money. My senses heightened with each step. I registered every sound: distant shouting, the rattle of something metal rolling across concrete, a bell tolling in the distance. 2 men came into view around the corner, hunched over something between them. Their voices carried, sharp, hostile. "That's mine. I saw it first." "Bullshit. I grabbed it first." As I drew closer, I saw what they were fighting over. A dented tin of tomatoes. They clawed at it like starving animals. I kept to my shuffling gait, head slightly bowed, just another old woman too unimportant to notice. They didn't even glance my way as I passed. In their world, I might as well have been a ghost. Exactly as I needed to be. The pavement trembled before I heard the vehicle. I slipped between 2 buildings, pressing my back against cold brick as a white government van crawled past. Speakers mounted on its roof crackled with that saccharine female voice they always used. "Together in unity. Together in purity. Report suspicious behavior. Report the infected. Report the impure." The same voice that once advertised washing powder now peddled fascism with identical cheerfulness. I waited until the van disappeared around a corner, counting my breaths. 10 slow inhales, 10 measured exhales, before continuing. Slowly, I shambled all the way up the main road until I reached the old clinic at the top of the hill, long since closed down. It had a large concrete space out the back where people often congregated. Even from a distance, I could smell the acrid tang of something synthetic burning. As it came in view, I could see a metal barrel glowing orange at its center, surrounded by many figures in various states of disrepair. Their clothes hung in layers despite the warmth of the day. It was hard to tell one from another. It was as if the clothing of homelessness was a uniform. I hunched my shoulders further, loosened my gait to seem less steady. I needed to be unthreatening, uninteresting, just another casualty of these times, possibly confused, definitely harmless. "Eden," I called out, pitching my voice higher, adding a warble. "Eden, love, is that you? Your grandmother's looking for you." Their heads swiveled in my direction, eyes narrowing with the instinctive suspicion of those who've survived by doubting everything. "Eden, have you got my medicine? Did you take it, dear? Eden." I rummaged in my bag as if searching for something. A man wearing a ratty balaclava spat near my feet. "No Eden here, Granny. Move along." "But he must be here. The nice boy at the market said so." I shuffled closer to their fire. "Eden, Eden." A younger one with a holy bobble hat pulled down to his nose laughed. "Hey, we got ourselves a proper mental case. Maybe she's got something good in that bag." "Eden," I screeched louder, making my voice crack pathetically. "Shut her up," muttered a third, thin as a rail, with sores at the corners of his mouth. "I'll give you something better to scream about," Bobblehat said, standing. My fingers found the reassuring weight of the police truncheon strapped to my calf, hidden beneath loose trousers. The solid metal felt cool against my fingertips. If necessary, I could crack his skull before he took 2 steps. But I couldn't give up on this possible source of information just yet. "Eden!" I shrieked. "Your mother's worried sick!" "Jesus Christ!" Balaclava man groaned, covering his ears. "Someone get rid of her." "Hey lady," a fourth one finally spoke, a woman with hair cropped close to her scalp. "There's no Eden here. Try the old city centre car park off Theatre Lane. Now piss off before you bring the purifiers down on us. Or the Grims." I blinked at her. "The car park off Theatre Lane?" "Yes," she hissed. "Now go." They turned their backs on me, conversation resuming as if I'd already disappeared. I shuffled away, muttering to myself for good measure. Only when I was well out of sight did I straighten slightly, loosening the grip I'd maintained on the truncheon. Theatre Lane. Not where Noah had suggested, but close enough. I adjusted my course, relief washing through me that I hadn't needed to use force. The old car park was right down in the city centre, though, which was a bummer. But at least I had a lead. The trouble was, that area was in a different corporate district. There would be gatekeepers, and sure enough, up ahead there's a checkpoint. I don't believe there's any way around it. So I hobble forward, one slow step after another, my body stooped in the perfect curve of someone who's lived too long in a world that doesn't want them. It's raining now. Of course it is. The rain slicks the pavement, making each step treacherous walking like this. Honestly, it's no wonder older people keep having falls if they have to totter along like that. It makes them very unsteady. The checkpoint looms ahead, lit by harsh floodlights that cut through the day's gloom. Papers, grunts the guard, a young man with filthy fingernails who doesn't even look at me. I'm just another street person to process and forget. My hands shake, not entirely an act, as I fumble with one of the forged identity cards that had been procured for me. Meredith Collins, 72, authorized Bishopsgate district resident. The laminate is weathered just enough, the photo aged properly. Purpose here? He finally glances up. I cough wetly, the phlegmy sound perfect after years of practice. My son might be working construction here. I let my voice waver. Haven't heard from him in weeks. His partner, a woman with her hair pulled back so tightly it seems to stretch her features into a permanent scowl, steps closer. There's no social visitation allowed in this sector. I didn't know, I whimper, blinking rapidly behind my smudged glasses. Please, I've walked so far. Back the way you came, Granny. The male guard returns to his tablet. Or we'll have to report you for sector violation. Well, unless you can pay, of course. But he doesn't look up again. He's already decided I can't pay the bribe. I let tears well up. Please. I'm so worried about him, and he has a wife and children who are sick. I do the cough again. The woman flinches away from me in case I'm a carrier. Fine. I'll give you a one-night transit permit, but you're out by morning checkpoint or we'll be hunting you down. She stamps my temporary pass and gestures at it so she doesn't have to give it to me. I pick it up, mumble trembling thanks, and shamble through with the perfect gait of someone whose joints hurt with every step. Once past the floodlights, I straighten a little. The hunched posture is exhausting to keep up. Eden is somewhere in this district. I need to find him before they do. I'm tiring. I've been searching for hours when I hear the patrol vehicle before I see it. The distinctive hum of electric engines and the squawk of their comms. I quickly scan my surroundings. An abandoned row of shops, mostly boarded up. But I'm too slow, too late. The spotlight catches me. At this stage, there's no point in running. Citizen, halt and present identification. The vehicle stops, and two enforcement officers emerge. Unlike the bored checkpoint guards, these men move with purpose, their black uniforms crisp beneath reflective rain gear. What are you doing out past curfew? The taller one approaches, hand resting on his stunner. I fumble with my papers, playing up the confusion. Curfew? I'm just looking for somewhere to rest these old bones. Your permit says transit only. He studies my fake ID, then my face, eyes narrowing. This sector's been cleared of unauthorized shelters. I got lost, I mumble. The streets don't look the same anymore. The second officer is circling behind me, and I feel a prickle of genuine fear climb my spine. Check her bag, he says. Please, I say, clutching my ragged bag to my chest. It's just my medicines. I need them. Cooperate, or we'll assume contraband, the first officer says flatly. I reluctantly hand over my bag, my heart pounding as he rifles through it. The second officer has his scanner out, sweeping it over me. Sir, her core temperature reading is irregular. The first officer's head snaps up. Potential infection? Cold dread washes over me. Their thermal scanners can detect fever. What the hell is it registering? I'm just cold from the rain, I protest, but he's already reaching for his comm. Control, we have a possible health code violator. I'm requesting transport to Assessment Center 4. This is it. I'll be taken to a processing center, stripped, examined. My ruse will be discovered, and I'll never find Eden, never see Noah again. In desperation, I clutch at my chest and gasp, dropping to my knees. My heart! I wheeze, forcing out some dribble from the corners of my mouth. The officers step back, fear of contamination overriding procedure. She could be contagious, the second one says, uncertainty in his voice. I convulse slightly, making horrible choking sounds. The first officer curses. Cancel that transport. We need a medical team. Possible cardiac event in an elderly subject. As they back towards their vehicle to retrieve the emergency kit, I gauge the distance to the alley across the street. They're watching me, but focusing on their comms, requesting medical assistance. I wait for the precise moment when both look down at their equipment. Then I lunge to my feet with a speed that would give away my true state of health if they were watching. Several desperate strides, and I'm into the alley, ducking behind a dumpster. I hear their shouts, but I'm already moving, deeper into the maze of back streets where their vehicle can't follow. I know they'll pursue, an unexplained recovery from a heart attack followed by flight screams, infection, or at least we must give chase for the sake of it so we can feel justified in beating her up. But I've been navigating these ruins longer than they've worn those uniforms. By the time they organize a foot search, I'll be long gone. It's a maze down here, though, and the night is going on. I'm getting tired. After a while, I'm forced to find a secure corner to stop for a nap. Luckily, I'm good at getting the best out of an hour or so's shut-eye, and before long I'm up again, searching for Eden. Dawn is breaking when I spot them, the white vans with blue markings, personnel in sealed hazmat suits. A cleansing team. They're methodically working through the abandoned tenement building I'd planned to search next. It's near the edge of this district, and still has some drivable roads. I press myself into the shadow of a partially collapsed wall. Even from this distance, I can see their efficiency. They're very good at kicking in doors, thermal scanning each room, occasionally dragging someone out. Most are street people, but I spot a family with small children. These will be citizens hiding from the authorities for some reason. Either a non-compliance issue, or a neighbor or family member will have turned them in for some supposed sin. The sound of their screams as they're separated makes my blood run cold. I force myself not to move, just to watch. I must remember why I'm risking everything. I have others to think of. I have Eden and Noah and Claude and Tim to think of. Tim is the other person who lives in my house. He's away at the moment. I wish he was here. The team moves floor by floor, their patterns precise. They'll reach the adjacent buildings within the hour. I need to move, but there's too much open ground between my position and the next block, and they've left a couple of their thugs outside to check for escapees. Then I spot a drainage tunnel, not completely obscured by debris. It might lead under the plaza. I wait until the team enters the building's top floor, then scuttle forward, staying low. The tunnel entrance is smaller than it looked, barely wide enough for my shoulders. I squeeze in, using my elbows to pull myself through slimy concrete. The stench is overwhelming, and it's dark. I crawl through, feeling my way forward, trying not to think about what might be in here with me. After what seems like an eternity, my hands touch a metal grate, rusted, but still solid. Behind me, I hear voices echoing in the tunnel. They've found my entry point.